It's not that difficult to persuade or seduce a guy into doing things. It's just not.
What percentage would you say that you are successful? Like if you see a straight guy and you're like, I'd like to have sex with that guy. What's the percentage that you'll be able to seduce this man?
80%.
That's very high.
Yeah.
In order to seduce anybody, male or female, you do have to pick up on their desires and what they want, but you also gotta have a know that they're down for whatever it is. You typically don't just go shooting in the dark, right? You typically would know that he or she is with it. You put feelers out. You ask certain questions. You get certain answers. You test certain boundaries. The way he's framing it sounds as if, I can just go to ruin a straight. No, you can't ruin the couple. You can't ruin a straight man's relationship by partaking in gay activities with him, because straight man's not going to partake in homosexual sex. It's not happening. Hey y'all, welcome back to another one of my unsolicited opinions. In this particular video, I'll be reacting to a gay man's testimonial regarding his desire to destroy heterosexual relationships by seducing straight men to partake in homosexual sex. Yeah, straight men partaking in homosexual sex, kind of counterintuitive, right? The video I'm reacting to is from the Other People's Lives podcast on YouTube, and you can find the full video in the description of this video. And without anything further, let's get into it.
Yes, today we're speaking to a man who reached out to talk about being a gay man who intentionally destroys heterosexual relationships by getting straight guys to sleep with him. In his email, he wrote, "Whether a straight guy has a wife or a girlfriend is irrelevant. I just really enjoy the challenge of disrupting and creating disharmony and hopefully destroying their relationship." We've got the guests on the line. Thank you so much for being on today.
Pause. Already. Pause. No diddy. Whatever the latest phrase is. It is not possible for a gay man to cause disharmony or ruin a straight relationship. And by straight relationship, I mean a truly heterosexual straight man with a truly heterosexual straight woman. It's not possible for them to ruin that relationship other than lying, okay? And then if they lie and people believe that lie and they take that as truth, then the relationship can be ruined. But I don't believe he's talking about lying. I believe he's talking about some other shit. So I'm gonna let him go ahead and tell his story.
On today.
No problem. It's my pleasure, actually.
So I guess to kick this off, can you just kind of describe in your own words what it is that you do exactly when it comes to targeting straight men in heterosexual relationships?
Yeah. Do you want me to go like way back to my early 20s to how deep, and profound it was?
Yeah, going back as far as possible to kind of understand how this started and why you do this would be great.
So being a like cocksucker in this world, it's kind of like, if you guys could put yourself in this situation, imagine being going to a party where there are 100 women and they're all hot, perky tits and tight cunts, and they're really hot, but they're all lesbians. It would probably get kind of frustrating for you,
I could see that.
You would not go home with anyone that night because they're all lesbians. So imagine that happening to you over and over and over and over again. It would get a little frustrating, So early on.
Hold hold on. Is this a gay dude talking about what it's just like to be a guy? Like, wait a minute. He just described what it's like being a man, period. The average man, especially, below average men, obviously, but even the best of men experience rejection on a regular basis unless they just got it all going. I'm talking about they hit the genetic lottery and they got the money and everything else. So it sounds like the gay caller is just talking about what it's like to be a regular man. Maybe I'm wrong, but continue.
You know, so early on, I was frustrated, and I started to think that maybe straight people were to blame for that, whether that was true or not. And so I became very bitter and resentful, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna fuck with these people because all the guys that I want cunt, not cock. So I early on decided I was gonna engage in like vengeful, practices and do things, to retaliate, basically.
So how do you go about convincing a straight guy to sleep with you?
How do we do it? Oh, that's easy. Even though I'm a faggot, I have a dick. And we all know that guys want blowjobs, they want a tongue in their asshole, whatever. So I was able to deploy different practices, to get straight guys to come on over to the dark side. And that's real easy. That's honestly really easy to do because guys are dogs.
Pause. No Diddy. First of all, no, that's not easy to do. You have to have a certain level of desperation in you as a man. Like, to me, it can't even be desperation. So let me retract, because the most desperate, I'm trying to approach this with a little less bias from the heterosexual perspective, the 100% straight, no desire for men. I'm trying to approach this from that perspective to be absolutely clear. There's nothing that a man can say or do to convince me to partake in sexual activities with a man. Nothing he can do. Nothing he can do. Desire comes to mind. How can I, as a straight man, get an erection for another man? It's not going to happen. And I'm saying that on behalf of straight men. I'm not saying, listen, maybe there needs to be, I've said this before, maybe there needs to be another category along this sexual spectrum that everybody likes to pontificate about. Maybe there needs to be another category, because I understand that there are men that enjoy sexual activity with men, but they don't want to identify as gay. If that so happens to be you, don't identify as gay. That ain't my business. But you can't identify as straight and heterosexual. That's my business. That is our business. Those of us that are heterosexual and straight and truly that way, we set the standards and the boundaries. We make up the rules. We get to gatekeep it. So what this guy is saying, what this gay guy is saying, that it's easy to get straight men to come over to the dark side, I'm calling absolute bullshit. No way. There's no level of desperation that a straight heterosexual man is going to succumb to. And I don't even want to bring prison into it, because those environmental factors require so many extremes that it rivals actual human nature in a normal environment. So He's not a gay man that's going into a prison with men that claim to be straight who are in prison for life and convincing those men to partake because they have no other way to get off. That's not what he's doing. He's engaging regular, supposedly straight heterosexual men on the street while they're in relationships with women and interrupting that. Nah. Anyway, I'm sorry I'm interrupting. Let me let them get back to it. But I want to hear what he does.
Guys are dogs. We all know whether you're gay or straight, guys are dogs. And I just started to realize that it doesn't take much to get a straight guy, to indulge in sexual things that he may or may not even think about.
What are some examples?
I do want to say this because I think it's important. I live in San Francisco, and it's a town where people are obsessed with sex, and people are really into like expanding boundaries and pushing their limits. And I quickly learned that guys are frustrated with women. For example, certain like straight white guys who are 6'5" basketball players are dating Asian women with small cunts and small mouths. And they're like, and they'll tell me, they're like, well, I can't fuck her throat, you know, her mouth is too small, or she doesn't give good head, or whatever. So I started to take notes on what straight guys had problems with in terms of their girlfriends and, you know, dates and stuff. So I'd be like, okay, well, I'm a 6'2" fag. I've got a nice deep throat and an asshole, and you can use me and all that stuff. So over time, I learned what straight guys wanted and they couldn't get. And in a city like San Francisco, where people are very, very sexually open-minded, it's not that difficult to persuade or seduce a guy into doing things. It's just not.
What percentage would you say that you are successful? Like if you see a straight guy and you're like, I'd like to have sex with that guy. What's the percentage that you'll be able to seduce this man?
80%.
That's very high.
Yeah.
Is that
Okay, so I'm going to backtrack. He said 80% of men, 80% of men that he comes in contact with, he'd be able to seduce. He also mentions how he's in San Francisco where they're sexually open-minded and all this other stuff, right? Okay. Again, environmental factors, right? So we know the history of the gay, LGBTQ community, San Francisco. We know that. That's like ground zero in the United States of America. So I would not challenge this man's reality as far as what his experiences are there and the volume of men per capita that go both ways. I wouldn't challenge that whatsoever. A man sitting there complaining to another man about what his woman can't do because of her physical limitations. I can't say I've experienced that, and I know I haven't partaken in that. The type of things that I do know that straight men complain about as far as sex goes is a willingness of their significant other to partake in whatever it is, right? Whether it's just sex in general. Men complain about frequency. Men complain about a woman not being willing to partake in certain kinks. So that is not abnormal for men to have those conversations among men, just like women would have those conversations among women. But at no point does it ever occur to a man to be sitting there talking to a man, and then the man sitting there is like, well, shit, I got a butt and I got a mouth, and hey, bro, you if you struggling to get it over there, just hit me up right here. That's not normal. In any environment that I've been in, and I've been in a lot of environments, and I've lived in a lot of major cities, so I'm not some country bumpkin staying in the butt crack of the southeastern, midwestern part of the United States and been raised there all my life. No, I've lived a lot of places and seen a lot of shit. I'm telling you, this isn't normal. And in order to seduce anybody, male or female, you do have to pick up on their desires and what they want, but you also gotta have a know that they're down for whatever it is. You typically don't just go shooting in the dark, right? You typically would know that he or she is with it. You put feelers out. You ask certain questions. You get certain answers. You test certain boundaries. So again, I think this is way more nuanced than a random gay guy. Possibly the way he's framing it sounds as if, oh, I can just go to ruin a straight. No, you can't ruin the couple. You can't ruin a straight man's relationship by partaking in gay activities with him, because straight man's not going to partake in homosexual sex. It's not happening. But anyway, here they go.
Because is that because it's people that you think are sort of, like you said, already on the cusp of experimenting or open-minded in that sense, or you're just a skilled practitioner at getting people to come over to the dark side, as you say?
All of the above.
No, ain't no all of the above. No. I'm sorry to interrupt. No. The first part, yes. Those people are already on the cusp of wanting to experiment. There is no guy, again, I'm going to stand on this, and there is nobody, because it's counterintuitive. It means you are not straight. You might say you are. You might want to be wholly straight or heterosexual, but something deep down inside you wants to experience something with a man. That therefore means you are not that. So maybe you're straight on the surface, but you have homosexual desires. There needs to be a category for that, because that's not just straight. And it's not fair for women to be in relationships with men that harbor these desires unknowingly to them. They already got enough to deal with us men, and worrying about if we fucking around with other women. Come on, bro. So no, these guys are not straight men. They're already people they're already men that want to partake in the activities that he's going to suggest.
I want to go back to what you just said. I think you said you were in your 20s or early 20s. So if you were going out all the time surrounded by straight men that you couldn't have, like, why not go to gay bars or try to put yourself in situations where there would be other gay men?
I am glad you asked me that question, because as a faggot and a sodomite, I do not enjoy sex with gay men. Because they're
okay.
no.
Okay. I want to say something else. The terms that he uses to refer to himself as an openly gay man, there's some self-hate there. It would be no different than me as a black man referring to myself as an N-word with the hard R, or using some sort of disparaging racist terminology or caricatures to describe myself, right? So that in and of itself, and I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychologist, none of that. I'm just saying, for him to identify himself as such, he feels some way about how and who he is. That's what I pick up from it. If somebody disagrees, get in the comments and let me know. And overall, let me know what you think about this shit, because I'm calling bullshit on it. But hey, I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
Yeah, no, I don't at all. I've only hooked up with around like 3 or 4 faggots in my life. 99% of the men I've hooked up with have been straight.
Huh.
They're not
Okay.
straight.
And
Why aren't you attracted to other gay men?
because they're effeminate.
Okay.
Not all gay
Yeah.
men, though, are, you know.
What's that?
I said not all gay men are, you know, feminine.
No, of course not. But most of them are. It's kind of like, I think the best way to describe it is, would you prefer to have sex with a woman who's like a dyke, who's more like a man, or would you prefer to have sex with a woman who's more feminine?
Well, as a straight man, I would say a feminine woman is what I would prefer.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't enjoy sex with most gay men just because they're effeminate and I'm not attracted to.
Okay, so he mentioned something else that I like to address. So he's attracted to masculine men. It's always been interesting to me that people who claim to be or not claim to be, who are gay or straight, why would a woman want to be with a woman that acts like a man and moves in a masculine way? Why would a man want to be with a man that's effeminate or moves in a feminine way? I've always wanted that myself. And I've always gave a side eye to any of you straight men that are willing to partake in sexual activities with a masculine woman, a stud, or a dyke. I've always questioned that because I don't understand why a man, and I don't care how good she looks when clothes come off. I'm just talking about her disposition is to carry herself like one of us. I've never understood why you dudes like that. Maybe y'all can get in the comments and tell me, explain that shit too, because it makes no sense to me. And like he just asked those guys, he said, which one would y'all prefer? And those guys want a feminine woman. And I imagine that's what most men want. So maybe y'all guys that are with that shit can explain it. Anyway, I'm gonna let them keep going.
Attracted to effeminate men, or otherwise I would just fuck women, you know, because they're feminine.
But what about like a masculine gay man?
Okay, those are few and far between.
Okay.
So we've heard about people, I don't know if targeting is the right word, but or having more of an attraction to straight guys, trying to turn straight guys, sleep with straight guys. Understandable. For you, when did this other interest kind of come into play, where it wasn't just about finding straight men and sleeping with them, but finding straight men in relationships with women and then seemingly, I guess, getting off on destroying their relationship, or as you said, creating disharmony?
Right. Okay. I'm glad you asked that question. Early on, when I was pursuing men, just men in general, at a bar, at a club, wherever, parties. And, you know, there's a lot of straight guys that are cool with faggots like me, and they're like, oh yeah, you're a nice guy. But it never became sexual. They would never like come home with me or fuck me or have me suck their dick. And I'm like, this kind of sucks. It's like, again, if you were to go to a party where there were like 100 women and all of them were lesbians, you're not going to go home with any of them, right? Because they're all lesbians. And so I just started thinking, well, son of a bitch, this really kind of sucks. Because I'm chasing guys who don't want me, who don't even know I'm alive. And so it turned to bitterness and resentfulness. And then it turned into being vengeful. And then I started thinking, you know what? Fuck these guys. Fuck these cunts. I'm going to start to destroy some relationships. And that early on, started to manifest. And I started to think, I'm going to destroy their relationships because I'm not getting anything out of these guys, even though they're flirting with me or whatever. And it transitioned from being that to now it's basically turned.
Who are you supposedly straight guys that are out here flirting with gay guys, knowingly gay guys? Because he's talking about hanging out with straight guys, straight heterosexual guys, but those guys won't partake in anything with him sexually, and it's frustrating them because they're flirting. So which one of y'all do? Who are y'all? Where y'all at? Y'all out here teasing the gays. I need to know who y'all are, because y'all are wrong. It's not right. If you know the gay dude wants you and you just sitting there all in his face, whatever you doing, however I would consider it like, okay, the way I guess men flirt with women, do straight men flirt with women that we know we don't want anything with? Maybe. Maybe. Trying to think. Oh God. I imagine there's been a time or several where I flirted with a woman I knew that I didn't want anything with. So, but that's not the same. I have never the difference in that is I'm attracted to women. So flirting with women in general is perfectly fine. Flirting with one I don't want would be playing games. So if you are a supposedly straight man and you're flirting with this guy, it's kind of fucked up because you're not playing. You want him. You're just not willing to partake for whatever your hang-ups are. And now he's on a path of revenge because y'all was playing in his face. Y'all was wasting this guy's time. He's mad. He's mad again. And back to what I'm saying, he's coming after y'all because y'all are really closeted gay men. That's what it is. That's who he's actually able to turn.
It's basically turned into being a sport and entertainment.
Oh, a sport, you said?
Yeah, a sport.
Oh, so because I was going to ask, that seems like a long time ago. So if you're not bitter or vengeful anymore, it's just sort of a kink and an interest of yours?
It's a kink and it's a fetish, and I absolutely love turning straight guys. You cannot make a straight guy become gay. As you know, the two of you know that. Both of you are straight, you would never become gay. However, there are men out there who, given the right circumstance, can cross over to the dark side and do shit with guys. And I use that to fuck up their relationships with women.
But
there we go. He said it for me. We're done here. And honestly, not all heroes wear capes. Because if that's what this guy does, if he pursues men that he knows he can bring on over, those men aren't straight. Because he just said, I'll repeat it. I'll repeat what he said. I'm going to play that back.
You cannot make a straight guy become gay.
He just said you can't do it. You can't bring a straight guy over to the dark side. So what he's doing is going into relationships or finding those guys that are in relationships and convincing them to come on over. Not all heroes wear capes. And as heartbreaking as it might be to the women that are in those relationships with those men, when they find out when this guy invariably blows things up or puts it on blast, which is what he does. And I'll put a link to the entire video of this particular podcast. I'll put a link to that. But this guy is a hero. Maybe an anti-hero, maybe some other, not necessarily a hero, but he's kind of like not a bad guy, but not a good guy. So like an anti-hero, I think that's what they call those. Some of you comic book nerds can get in here and just, whatever that is. The protagonist or whatever the case may be. Anyway, he's not a good guy because his motives aren't based on the righteous thing. His motives are selfish. He's getting revenge. But he's also doing a service for all you women that might be involved with a man that's willing to sleep with other men. And I'll say it for the last time. Men that are willing to sleep with other men under any circumstances are not straight. They're not heterosexual. They are something else. Whatever y'all want to identify with is fine. Whatever y'all want to identify as is perfectly fine. If y'all don't want to claim gay and homosexual, by all means, that's your right. But you can't claim to be heterosexual. Nah, we're not going to do that. It's not what you are. You're something else. And maybe y'all can get in the comments and tell me what that something else is. Y'all be creative. Please come up with a term for what those guys are so that we can finally get it out there. So it may be something comfortable, maybe something that makes them feel masculine, whatever it is. Let's get that done. Anyway, that's my reaction to it. The video is longer. The guy goes into much more detail as far as what he does and how he does it, but he confirmed what I am saying at that point right there. So that's all I got. Give me y'all thoughts, thumbs ups, like or dislike. Please share the video, and that's all I got for y'all.